Good evening, guys. Welcome to the Lofi Evening Podcast. Only in the evenings where people come to tell their stories and where stories have been told. Yesterday, after a huge gap, we finally are here again. Season 20, right, James? I'm not mistaken. Season 20. Yes, season 20. So, yeah, we are very excited to have always a very important and always you guys always are the ones who always bring like the comments down below and telling us to bring us guests, good guests that will actually entertain all of you. So without further ado, but before we get to him, I like to say is that if you want to know more about our guests and us, it's all in the description down below. And I just want to say thank you to all the DMs, the subscribers, as well as everybody who listened and watched. And I just want to say thank you and who watched us in the previous episode as well. If you want to know more about us as a team and our guests, is all in the description down below. So today we have a special guest as always, and today we have a very special guest. I would say very special guest. I think I've said twice. Special guest. He is a culinary nerd, I would say, and he is a person that we have interacted a lot. And so let me introduce to you none other than Chef Benny.
What's up?
Why don't you introduce yourself to the viewers and the listeners, man?
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me here, Jones. As you all know, I am Benny Wankhar. I am the owner and chef of 1304 Cafe in Limekra. And I'm hoping that I have enough of a presence that a lot of you know that I am into the cooking line. So we're just here to just like chill, talk about whatever. So here goes.
And I like the introduction, so chill. Just like the low-fi vibes that we always have.
Definitely.
So yeah, without further ado, thank you for like sparing your time. And oh yes, last but not least, sorry. Shout out to all my colleagues as well. If you're watching this, thank you very much. They were saying, you should give us a shout out. Say shout out to my colleagues. So don't mind. I'm taking a bit of your time. So yeah, it's quite surreal to have you here because we already had a chef in the previous one, but it's good to have another perspective when it comes to culinary arts and various others, right? So the first thing is that I want to start this conversation with is that how did you they always say like food is a connection with the person that eats the food, right?
Right.
How did it all happen to you, the connection with food though? Because you have a restaurant as well,
yeah,
and you cater as well. So you have been featured in a lot of the most predominant restaurants in Shillong as well.
Yes.
Few of them, right?
Yeah.
So can you tell me how this connection with food came to you, man?
It wasn't something that was on purpose. Actually, it's a story where I think probably maybe I was 9 years old. Yeah. And it was actually my sister's birthday. And my mom was lazy. And she called over a friend to help cook for my sister's birthday. And then, and I was just like, Chal, should let you up.
10 years old.
I was 10. Yeah,
wow.
I was 10.
Okay.
So probably even younger, but like that along the same timeline. So like my mom's friend, he did his thing, and then, like he gave me like little tidbits, snacks in between. And then when I had them, I was like, oof, mind blown. And, I was always chubby. I still am, as you can see.
But you look like a guy who have a lot of muscle, man. Seriously.
Nah, dude. I wish I did.
A bit of muscle though. But, but yeah.
Anyways, yeah. So, so that was like, like epiphany, like the mind-blowing moment for me. And then it kind of like just snowballed from there. That was how like, I wanted to learn more, I enjoyed that food so much. I kind of just like pestered him all evening, like, Penny lang, please.
And that small voice, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I was very, And then, it kind of just like snowballed from there. So it went from tasting like those little snacks to, somehow like slowly collecting recipes, how in the newspaper Telegraph, they give you the graffiti magazine with the recipes and all.
Which have, I think they also the lyrics as well to some songs.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I collected those every Sunday and it kind of just like, just went on till I think I was probably maybe 12, 13. I decided like I didn't want to do anything else. Like I'm so into this. I want to do this. I don't see myself doing anything but this. So all those decisions led me to here.
Wow. I mean, that's one thing that's very amazing because you actually like from a young age, I thought maybe you started out like maybe like mid-20s or whatever it may be, but at a young age that happened to you. I think it's more or less like a fate for you, like kind of a fate for you to meet food.
And destiny, I guess.
Yeah. But the thing is that interests me is that what were you cooking in that moment? What your mom's friend cooked in that moment? Like, can you explain to that?
I think it was this thing called a Mughlai paratha.
That time.
Yeah.
Wow. And you're still young.
Yeah. I remember because it was like one of those core memories that you just remember.
True.
And somehow after that, even my grandmom, she's still a badass cook at home.
Always is.
Yeah. And she tried recreating that.
Cannot.
No.
I like the straight answer. No. Okay. But were you able to recreate that?
No. I mean, I've tried. I have my own spin on it, but it didn't come close to that memory of that. And I'm somehow glad that that I've not been able to, because then my memory, that memory would have just been down.
Just down.
Yeah.
Man, that's quite interesting, because that's quite a long time, man. I mean, when you were 10 years and you had this epiphany, man, that's amazing. That's the reason why it's when I was having, I think I forgot her name, my apologies. But anyway, but the thing is that when it comes to food though, it's always been the connection that really plays a very important role. Like, for example, if you eat Jado, it transports you back to Shillong.
Yes.
So because you have a knack for cooking, right?
Right.
And people like to eat your food, and I've heard lots of reviews that you really make some badass food. So you too, you make some badass food. So yeah, shout out to your grandmom as well.
Yeah.
So, but how do when people taste your food, according to your perspective, when they taste the food, what kind of connection they're trying to meet, when they eat the food, that have some kind of connection towards a certain kind of memory, right? What kind of connection do you want to bring to your people or to your customers?
Right. So that is a very complicated answer, actually. I mean, for me, because the thing with me is, a lot of my food experiences have, growing up have been mostly with TVs, videos, stuff like that. So when I got the chance to go outside, I got to experiment with a lot of, continental foreign food. And it is just something that brought me joy, And, when it comes to Indian food, I mean, that's good, but then it just wasn't in the heart for me. So when I try to bring that stuff here, I want people to have that connect where, it's more than just butter chicken or chow, momo, whatever.
True.
So in a sense, it's not just the connect that I want to have with people who are eating my food, but also because I want them to experience that there's more to food than just what you're getting out here.
True.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be something that's very hardcore authentic. One of the things in my menu that I'm keeping are the birria tacos.
Okay.
So that has been an absolute hot seller over in my cafe. So, and I realized that I cannot give them something authentic, and I'm not trying to give them something authentic. It is just my spin, my touch on it.
True.
So in a way, I want them to know that, if even if they're my customers, but they're interested in cooking, I want them to know that you don't have to be hardcore, foodie to enjoy it, or you don't have to be just hardcore to the book.
True.
When you're following a recipe. Do what you love, do what you like, and just enjoy it how it comes.
Man, you make a complicated question, yet you made it so simple. I really like that, seriously. But the thing is very true, man, because the thing is, I think if you look at Shillong, it's like a melting pot of all cultures, right?
Yeah.
Coming together, and Nagas, Mizos, whatever it may be from different parts of the world as well.
Yeah.
So your food is kind of a way where even though it doesn't bring back childhood memories, but you're making connection through them eating your food. They understand that you are the guy who made that food.
Yeah.
And from there, at least they'll understand that, finally,
something different.
Something different, towards a certain kind of food, right?
Right.
So can you tell me a bit, man? Because the thing you said that you studied abroad, and and so can you just explain a bit how did at 10 years old you had this epiphany kind of thing, but it's during, I would say, taking the route of being a chef is a different thing altogether, right?
Yeah.
Can you explain a bit how that you if it's okay with you, to how did you pass out and how did this food journey started out for you?
Right. So, as I said, like I think 9 years old, I had the whole epiphany. I wanted to be a chef. I didn't know that, like being a chef was an actual profession till I was maybe like 14, 15. Yeah. So I was still in high school, I think. Yeah, high school. And, like back then, you used to have like these essays, like I want to be a lawyer, I want to be a doctor, architect, blah, blah, Like I didn't want to just like write for the sake of writing. So I didn't know like the exact term chef, I didn't know that term. But I was like, I want to cook food for people. That's what I wrote. So that was in class 8, I think. So my mom, she was very supportive. She is very supportive. And, she understood that this is what I want to do. And she did her own research. And then, she guided me through the years. And then, even when it came time to like applying for colleges, I went specifically just for like at least well-known, reputed hotel management colleges. And that's how I ended up in IIHM in Calcutta.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I got to tell you, it is not a cheap school. It is very expensive.
Culinary is always like that.
Yeah.
Till date.
Yeah. And, but my mom, like, even though we were going through a couple of things, at home. So, but my mom was supportive. She didn't let out like anything to me, but like this was happening. She's like, you want to do this, you do this, but make sure like you try your best.
Yeah.
So, she took out a loan and, like I carried on. And then, I never knew, like if I had known that there was stuff going on at home, that would have been like added pressure, like I have to do well, I have to do this. But then I never had any of that. What really pulled me through those 3 years was just like, I want to do this on my own. Because, many people, like when they join hotel management, they only know like the cooking aspect, like, oh, I want to be a chef. They don't see the, like the long hours, the work, what goes on into that. So it was a very eye-opening experience, because I never expected that. Of course, I still wanted to be it. I just never expected becoming a chef was so physically and mentally exhausting.
True.
Yeah. So, I think 2013 was when I got my first job. And honestly, like being independent and like stepping foot into a professional kitchen, like wanting to do something all your entire life and then actually getting to do it was the most amazing feeling ever. Yeah.
And getting to work in a like you said, a professional, like really made for a chef kind of kitchen is a different experience altogether.
Right.
But yeah, man, I mean, I've seen like, because you have been in, like people who are like good in cooking. For example, you, right? It's like, it's always been like when you see you guys be like, oh, okay, she's good in cooking. It must be very, very easy. Like, it's like, it's just like a dash of salt there, dash of pepper there, then it comes out, right? We always have this perception of most people who are like really good in a particular field, right?
Yeah.
And you include culinary, being a culinary arts, right? In the culinary arts.
Yeah.
But the thing is, that really amazed me is like the amount of hours you have to put in, right? I mean, you didn't know that that's going to happen. I think you had the same perception, I would say, like, assumption that, oh, probably it's going to be
more or less. I knew it was hard. I didn't know that it was going to be like what, God mode hard.
God mode hard.
Yeah.
Like this medium now is God mode hard. Okay.
Yeah. So again, I was like, I knew like a job is a job, and I knew like sometimes you have to put in the hours, you have to like, work hard, and, there were days where like I was actually like cursing myself, like, why the hell am I doing this? There were days where, especially I think the most hectic time I would, the best example I can give you of how hard this job is, December 31st, I come into work at 3 p.m. That's my evening shift.
Okay.
3 p.m. I leave next day morning at 8 a.m.
Holy crap. Oh my goodness. That is like hardcore, man.
Yeah.
Did you work in like a kind of a hotel or?
Yeah, that was in Delhi. It's called the Rosette. It's a 5-star hotel in Delhi.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So, okay, can you just explain to me, like, since you said that it's long hours, like, can you explain like step by step, like how did your day start, shall we say?
Well, it depends on, the kind of shift that I have. Initially, it was very, very difficult to, like get adjusted to that sort of work environment. And especially in a place like Delhi, because Delhi people are rough. You have to have thick skin in order to survive. So, like I said, that was my first job, So my bosses, seniors and all, like they come at you thinking that you know nothing. And it basically is like you know nothing. Jon Snow of kitchen.
I agree. I like the Game of Thrones reference. Very, very true.
Yeah. So what happens is, when you step foot, the first 2-3 days, they'll be all nice, like they'll take you through like what you have to do and whatnot. After the first week, they will slog your ass. Yeah. Wow. And, and you actually, like, when you enter that sort of kitchen, you have to prove, not to yourself, you have to prove to your bosses that you can actually work. So what happened is, my probation period was, I think, for about 6 months.
6 months.
And they did not let me touch like a proper, like, a gas range. They did not let me cook properly.
Not even the gas as well. Wow. Yeah. Okay.
So, they had me like doing like cutting, chopping, whatever. And I think every day what I hated the most to do was to make dough, like rotis.
Okay.
Yeah. And we had a staff of, I think, close to 400-500.
400-500. How big is this kitchen, man? Seriously.
Yeah.
It's huge.
So that was my probation period. They didn't let me like, they didn't put me directly into like the guest section. They put me into the staff section. Yeah. Okay. So basically they put me in the kitchen where I had to like cook first for the staff, learn, how to work basics and stuff like that. Then after like, I've got my hands set, I can understand a bit of the work. Then they upgrade me to, the proper section.
Wow.
Yeah. So basically that was actually fun, but very exhausting.
Obviously. Yeah. It sounds like it's like a military training, I would say, mentally speaking.
In a sense, yes.
Yeah.
In a sense, yes.
Damn, man. I never like, expected such a thing would ever happen, because we always have this, like I said, perception of saying cooking is easy and, so, but once you reach that level, it's a different feel altogether, right?
Right.
So like, like, can you explain to me sometimes in these, I always see these, my mom used to watch a lot of Travel and Living and all that stuff. And so I've seen the technicality. I've seen this film called No Reservation, I think, as Catherine Zeta-Jones was there. Yes. That was a really good movie I watched.
Right.
I've seen like the intensity that goes to it, so much of discipline, so much of, if you're making these, we call them kasi kanchanat mo, they're like these small things, right? That make it look so beautiful, the dish. Like, do I think you need a lot of discipline for that. I think you need to really, really prove the boss wrong or your head chef wrong, right?
Yeah.
So how is it like learning from the best to create such art, like according to you?
Well, again, getting to that point where, like you're the one like on the pass, the pass is where, you call out the orders and then you decorate the plate and it goes out to the customers. So that's called the pass, right?
Okay.
So just getting from the starter level up to the pass level, it takes like almost decades. It takes like a decade, yeah. And, you have to maintain that whole, that dedication, that one track mind where you have to give out your best, like on every single plate, no matter how busy it is.
Okay.
So it's like, there's a hierarchy, So the guy who's at the pass, he's usually the boss, like the executive chef.
Okay.
And he's basically like God, when you're in the kitchen, he's basically like God, like, if you've made the best thing that you've ever made and he says it's shit, you best believe it's shit. Throw it out. Yeah.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah. So, like, getting to your question, when you're at that level, you have to be like that one track mind where, what you do, you are the best at it. No one else comes close to you. Okay. And that can only come through like all the burns, the cuts that you getting to that level.
Wow. The errors that you make as well.
Exactly. You learn from your mistakes.
So do you like, sometimes they say, right? I think Whiplash was one of those things I've seen, like, when he goes back home, he trains the drums and that's
knuckles,
the
bleeding
blood
knuckles,
right?
Yeah.
Were you like that as well? Were you like, like if it's like a very hard environment or atmosphere, especially in the kitchen, and the head chef wants more from you, right?
Yeah.
Do you like go back home and like have this mental training where you be like, okay, I need to do this, and I should practice more, I should do more?
Well, it wasn't like I always practiced more or do more, because I didn't want to get it to the point where it was like a toxic thing. Like I'm only thinking about my job even when I get home,
True.
But I think because I've always wanted to do this, I always took my job seriously. So like when I'm like off duty, like I'm fun, like I'm all good. But if I have work, anything that's related to my work, I always take it seriously. For sometimes like, there were days where my morning shift would start at 4 a.m. And there'd be like a couple of events over the hotel. Someone called in sick, so I have to pull in his shift as well. Right. And so basically morning 4 a.m. You leave work at 7 p.m. And then you're like, you have plans after work. You're like, you go out with friends, you're drunk. But I have work next day again at 4 a.m. You get to work drunk.
Wow.
I'm not advocating people go to work drunk. It's just that, it's just like in my mindset, it was like, shit, I have to be at work at 4. I don't care how drunk I am. I'll just like wash my face, maybe sleep for like half an hour, 20 minutes on the cab to work. And then there were so many days I got to work either drunk or hungover. Or, because like, again, like for me, I was out and, you had the whole independent city life,
True.
And no one, like mom doesn't call that much because she knows like how the life is. It's busy. Lalit kaya but perlok lalit di.
Yeah, that's it.
Go back to work again. So, and there were days also when it did get a bit unhealthy, although also a lot of cuts, burns. So even with that, it's just like, you get kind of like just used to that whole lifestyle. It's just a burn, just like put some cream on it and go back to work. Yeah.
Man, that is real, like seriously, like not just dedication, but the amount of like mindset and mental power you need to have. You like you have to switch to that mindset where, okay, now it's time for me to cook. Forget about being drunk or whatever it means, right? Man, like you have to be like game mode. Like once you're there for a reason, right?
Definitely.
Man, that's really like challenging. And plus, you said you don't have much hours of sleeping as well during that time.
Yeah, I mean, like it depends on how you manage your time. For me, like I think the first year was very rough because even though like I enjoyed doing what I love, I was a bit of a slow learner.
Okay.
So not only did my bosses take that out on me, I took that out on myself as well.
Wow.
So like I was a slow learner. So but I wanted to know like perfect details of it. So like I don't mind like like standing back, waiting back a bit, couple more hours. Like I've already been here 8 hours. 1 more hour won't hurt.
True.
Just
push through.
Just push through. That's where like the first year's always the hardest because that's when you have to get adjusted to knowing that this is what your life is going to be like for the next 10, 15, 20 years if you want to take this career seriously. Yeah.
Oh, wow. But I think the thing that pushed you is like you always have this bigger picture that you're gonna be better as the days go by because they know their shit, right? It's not that these chefs are just like some amateur guys who are just like trying to like act as a boss or whatever. Maybe they know their stuff, right?
Yeah.
Man, I think it must been good experience in learning, especially from very well experienced like chefs out there, right? I think it must be a huge privilege for you as well, a humbling experience, I would say.
Definitely.
Can you tell me a bit like how what kind of like lessons did you learn, especially for people, because cooking is such a thing, especially when it comes to Master Chef or Master Chef Australia. Yes, everybody watches that now, and people are inspired by that. By the allure of, shall we say, being a chef, right?
Right.
But like, what about you? Like, who was the mentor, and like who really taught you like the lessons and becoming a really like perfect or near perfect chef, shall we say?
Right. Well, I don't see myself as perfect. Like there's still a lot of things that I still have to learn. And that's the best part, about this line where you can never stop learning, And there were a lot of people actually, but I think there were like a couple of chefs. His name was Ajit Kumar. So
Shout out to you.
Hi, Jeet. Yeah. So he was basically like, like my guide. My guide. So like I said, like the first few months I was in the staff kitchen. So after I upgraded from like the cafeteria, the staff cafe to like the proper like guest section, he was the guy who taught me like the ins and outs of how to do stuff. And he was very patient, of course. And like because of how like I was a slow learner, and because of like the way that I did things, I know for a fact that he got his ass whooped a lot of times as well by the boss. Yeah, so he took that, for me as well.
Yeah.
So I owe a lot to him as well, like for teaching me like dedication and just like, attention to detail.
Yeah.
So he was one of like the guiding lights.
Okay.
And from there, so after he left like that hotel, so it was up to me to just like uphold like what he taught me. So basically from that point on up until now, it's just been me like just following his basic guidelines, like, and there's no hard specific rules, especially when it comes to cooking as well.
True.
Like, of course, when you're in that, environment, 5-star, where you have to follow the rules and all, you follow it. But sometimes, if something is right to you, you just put it out. And, those are the times where the best things always come out.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you follow the fundamentals especially from the experienced people, right?
Yeah.
It really makes things easier as well, I would say,
Right.
Because they have known the ins and outs, shall we say, to a certain, like, when it comes to any profession for that matter.
Right.
So, yeah. But, like, sometimes I always see, like, I have seen this thing, Ratatouille, right? They always have this very, very, like, finicky guest, or who really, like, is very, like, if you want these, if you work in a 5-star hotel, definitely you must have lots of these customers who are, like, really, like, particular. No, you should have this, you should have that. So have you had the experience where you had a reviewer, or you have to impress someone that you really need to really, like, a reviewer,
impress,
or a certain person who's like VVIP, shall we say, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever had that experience where the pressure was on?
A lot.
And you need to really prove them wrong, right?
Definitely.
Can you explain to me a bit, like, maybe one of your experiences that really like made you like?
Dude, there was so many. I mean, initially when you get thrown into that sort of like limelight, the first few times I screwed up badly. Like, there was a point of time where like the guest himself, he came up to the kitchen, told my boss, like, this idiot can't cook, throw him out.
Holy crap, man. Seriously.
Yeah. So, again, it's something that, you learn from experience. Because, like that fear that you have whenever like a person, especially someone who's reviewing your food, and even up until now, like whenever, no matter what guest comes in, even my cafe, there's always that fear, like, fuck, is he gonna like my food?
Yeah.
Is it too salty? Is there enough? That fear is always there. But I think slowly, once you get more confident of your abilities, it kind of just like, dies down, that fear. So I think there was this one point of time where I was supposed to do an outdoor event. We were like catering, and it was for a special like family, and it was in Delhi itself, and it was for the CEO of Micromax.
Holy crap.
Yeah. So, and he got married to the actress Asin.
Oh yeah.
So it was over at their house.
Holy crap. Okay. Yeah. So,
and basically it was me and one more colleague of mine and a junior. It was just the three of us. So like I was fairly experienced out of the bunch, and like actually meeting him was like, fuck. Yeah, that fear.
You feel like you're happy that you're in that level, but it scares you.
It scares, yeah. So basically, like, and he asked us to do like a mushroom risotto. So like I made it, took like 5-10 minutes, made it, and then served it out. And then, like he went on, he had dinner with his family and all. So I kind of just like laid back and then after everything, the entire dinner was done, I didn't even have the guts to ask him like, how was the food?
It's scary. It's
very
scary.
scary. Yeah. Like, but then he came up by himself and he was like, oh, the food was nice. Good work. That's it. that was all he needed to say. I was like sweet.
Yeah. That's what. Yeah.
Uh,
Man, that's quite scary because the thing is, like I said, is like once you reach that level, right, of cooking for a celebrity or whatever it may be, right, it really like puts you in that game mode, I would say. That's why I think probably all the things, the experience that you've had really pushed you to that point where, you know.
Yeah, and I credit a lot to, the place where I worked, my first job, the Rosette in Delhi, because I don't know, I guess, like I said, maybe it's destiny that put me in all these like convenient places for me to like grow and build my career and myself as a chef. But the opportunities that place gave me, like in terms of not just learning the work, but the people who taught me and the people that I interacted with, while I was there, it kind of like shaped how I want to be now. Like even if I'm teaching someone else how to cook, it gave me a lot of building blocks to work with. And I never really knew much about that 5-star life up until when I started working, because like I've never seen so many like celebrities and at one point of time, like the amount that I did over there at that workplace.
That's one of the things that I think Delhi, it's really a very, very good training ground, I would say.
Yes.
Like sometimes people may just go first to a small place like Calcutta or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Then they'll graduate to meet Delhi, then like kind of thing. But you were just like thrown into the fire, go cook, right?
Yeah.
So yeah. Were you like, in these point of time when you're going through this kind of like this phase of cooking and, trying to prove people wrong at the same time, did you like in some point of time, did you lose that love for cooking by any chance?
A bit. I mean, because as it is, like I said, it's a very hard life. I mean, now like it's all good, I am my own boss. But then, when you're working under someone and then you're like working like 12, 13-hour shift.
Sure.
And there's like a shitload of work. You have like an event of like 3, 4, 500 people going on, and that is going on in the background. And then there's a few people coming into the restaurant and they have their order as well, and you mess that up, and then you're messing that up, like the banquet work.
True.
And your boss is on breathing down your neck, like you're good for nothing, like what is this shit, blah 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 blah, whatever. It demotivates you. I mean, like it really kicks you down. And there was a point of time like, well, I thought I wanted to do this. Why am I doing this? Do I actually know how to do all of this that I signed up for?
Sure.
But like it comes and goes.
True.
It comes and goes. There are days you have that, but then you get to work and then you have like that one good day, everything goes off well, and then you're like, your shit goes off like pretty smooth. Boss is saying good job, and it kind of just like pulls you back up again.
True. Yeah. I agree. I think it trains you to a point where you just need to have that one good day, like you said that you had that banquet, whatever, maybe in with the CEO of and saying good job. It's like finally like something to like push you through
validation.
Validation, exactly. Man, that is amazing. So but the thing is, like once you work with food, right, you have to be like in touch with from all parts of the world, like when it comes to food wise, right? Or isn't it like, or do you specialize during that time? Do you specialize only in Conti, or like you do Chinese and various others as well?
No, I mean this like the place where I worked at. Let me to give you my answer on that. So a lot of different hotels, they have different working sections, right? Okay. So Indian will be like its own place, Conti will be its own place, Chinese has its own place, and so on. But where I worked at, you're like a football. You get kicked down on everywhere. Yeah. So, my first diff with Indian food was again like the staff kitchen. I got like somewhat good at that. So from there, then I moved on into Conti, and that was like, I told my boss that I wanted to specialize in that. So, they gave me like that leeway and they trained me in a couple of days. But again, when you have like proper banquet work, and I've seen my fair share of that in hotels. So, there'll be like, when you're short staffed, you can't just be like, oh, I know only Conti, I cannot help you with this. So, you have to just be on your toes, but it's like, if this guy, like this Chinese guy, he needs help, like, in the Chinese section, like not Chinese guy. The guy in the Chinese section, he needs help, like, although I don't know like how to cook his food, I can do like some other stuff for him, like chop, cut, whatever, like pass on whatever he needs, or Indian, whatever, So those are like, these are the kind of experiences that I always want to encourage people having. Like if you want to like be good at driving, don't just learn driving. You learn like how does a car work. Like that's basically the best example that I can give you.
But yeah, like you said, man, like you bounce back here and there based on the need, right?
The need, yeah.
But did it open your eyes to various other like food that comes from different parts of the world as well, right? Like for example, like Chinese or various others, like Indian as well. Were you like inspired by the whole thing, like the whole experience, shall we say?
Definitely. I think more than inspired, I was like very much a glutton, because
I hope you were cooking and eating at the same time.
I definitely was. And,
that's job, man. That's
especially when you work night shifts, like you get the freedom to do whatever you want. You have like your set list of tasks to do, but once you're done with that, you're basically like the master of your own station. So when you're in the Indian sections, like I'm hungry, I'll go make myself some mutton.
Oh, so nice, man. Seriously, it's like you're just like enjoying the moment.
Exactly.
You can take whatever you
want. I've always been like a big glutton for food. So like I think of course that inspiration was always there, that I wanted to do this, but I think almost as big as that was how much I wanted to eat that food.
I agree. Just like to have that, like, when you have that satisfaction, I mean, what shall I say, that thing that you want to eat, right?
Yeah.
That objective, maybe at the end of the day, I'm going to have myself like what a paratha, whatever it may be, right?
It, even like it got to that point where like when I worked night shifts, so breakfast was always South Indian for me. Okay. I love South Indian food. And then, when like the morning chef comes in and like I ask him to like make whatever. So maybe 1 or 2 days he'll make, but then he gets busy. So like I can't just like, can you please make, I can't just say that, True. It's like, and then he's like, you see that batter there, go make it yourself, make whatever you want. And then like, there was one point of time like, I want to have dosa. I will learn how to have dosa. I will learn how to make it. Yeah.
So you learn from them like how, especially they learn that technique, the authentic technique, right?
Yeah.
Man, damn, that's so amazing, right? About once you have that experience of meeting lots of people, right? Man. But seriously, like cooking has its own kind of culinary as a whole, has so many like levels to it, right? Because I've always had this thing where we as like like Northeasterners, we eat like huge amount of food, right? Like
definitely
huge amount, but. I always wanted to ask this, but I've never had the chance to ask that. But since you are a very experienced one, can you tell me about this call as these? I don't know. They call it like they have these very small portions and you eat drink with the wine. They're very like
the fine dining
thing. Yeah. Like they say that you go in hungry and you come out hungry as well. I was like, isn't that true? So that's the thing I don't understand. Can you tell me like? How do people like find that fascinating, in my opinion? Because I really need to understand like how like people, what is the main objective of that?
Yeah, well, honestly, like if I'm being honest with you, even I do not get that up till now.
Yeah.
No, but fine dining is an art. Yeah. So you'll see a lot of these really famous chefs, they'll do pop-ups, true. Doing like a set course, like a fine dining, like this 3, 5, 7, 10, 12 course, whatever. So like food has gotten to the point where like it's not just sustenance, but it's also an art form. So like apart from the hotels where you do like these elaborate fine dining, there are chefs who do these set course dinners. It's a way for them to express how they see food, how they want to, how they want other people also to see, how food can be visualized.
Okay.
And I know a lot of like hardcore foodies also. They will actually go for that experience, even if they end up like like they go in hungry and come out like maybe just slightly less hungry.
That's what I'm saying. No, even if it burns your pocket, it's a worth experience.
I mean, maybe once or twice, just to get a feel of, how it is, it's an art form, and, it's not that every fine dining or set course or whatever, it's got that bad image.
Yeah.
True. But it's not always like that. It's more or less of the experience. Yeah. Okay. So when it comes to that as well, first ever like fine dining, like the set course experience that I saw for myself was, I think 2014, 2015 in like the Rosette. So there's this really famous chef called Gagan Anand.
Okay.
Yeah. So his restaurant was named top 30 for that year in the entire world.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and that is a restaurant, I think, that was built up on his ideas and his personality. And his way of doing things was, how should I say this? Very gastronomical. Like very like fancy, smancy, flip-floof.
Yeah, very pish posh.
Pish posh, yeah. And not exactly like too fancy, like, elaborate, but more like, like experimentation, like, like here is an egg, but this is not an egg, this is yogurt.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So it's like,
exactly.
So each chef has his own interpretation.
Like it's an art kind of
exactly.
art form.
It's an art form.
That's the reason why. That's why I always see these very weird food. Like they'll keep like like dhania on top. Like, what is that? I was like, that's it. Okay. Anyway, but coming back to that, what you're saying just now is like you're saying that this kind of like a course, right? The way you eat, right? It makes you.
It starts from one small thing and then it escalates. And it's not necessarily that you go in hungry and always come out hungry. It's more like go in, but then because of like the amount of like stuff that is thrown at you, not just like with taste, but with the sounds, the sights, the smells, it kind of just like satiates your hunger as well.
Okay. So they want to make like a more like a full wholesome experience, holistic experience more or less.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I always like find it very intriguing how these people can go through a very expensive dining and yet like they'll be like, oh, it's a really beautiful. Okay. But I mean, that's a concept that I think is worth experiencing. I think for all the listeners and viewers, if you get the chance.
Yeah.
I think myself included, I should try that once. I think James should try that once we get enough money from the podcast more. But that's one thing I should definitely try that. But like the thing that really like caught my eye when I look at all these fine dining, right? It's always like the food combination that goes along with it, so that it has a kind of like a transition from one thing to the other.
Yeah.
Don't you think like according to you there is like a kind of like a combination that really brings out the best in taste when it comes to food?
Definitely. I mean again, that is very subjective because something that might go well for me might not be the same for you.
True.
Yeah. So I mean, again, it's like a lot of like limitless possibilities. So there's no really hard and set fast rule. Even, like even when it comes to cooking, like you may be like the best chef in the world, but even he will be like, he might be the master of his thing, but he doesn't know the things that I do.
Exactly. True.
Exactly.
That is like a beautiful thing because I think you all have your subjective opinion as well as subjective secrets as well.
Exactly.
Right. To even to the same dish as what you're making, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if I taste yours and I taste some chef, it'll be totally different, right?
Totally different. I mean, like, me and you can follow the same recipe, but the outcome is going to be different,
True.
Because like, if we make butter chicken, yours is going to be like different thing. Mine is going to be a different thing.
True.
So it depends on the person making it as well. So like, when it comes to like people pairing this with this or this with that,
True.
It's like, it's very subjective. Depends on taste.
Yeah. Some people like it, some people don't. Like some people like Kerala or Songang for that matter. Some people they don't, right?
They don't, yeah.
I agree. Man, but I always like find when I see these street food and now vlogging is like huge thing when it comes to street food. Even like if you don't eat food and you look at that vlog, you're like salivating, right?
Right.
So the thing is I always see like, they go like these chefs would go to like Asia. They'll go. I used to watch the food review show.
Best ever food review
show.
The best
ever
Sunny,
food review by Sunny. Man, that guy really like entertains me a lot because He always says,
Yeah.
I don't like going to any of these like, like known
Fancy,
countries,
yeah.
fancy, right?
Yeah,
He wants
yeah.
to go to these places where food is like raw and
Right, right.
very like simplistic, shall we say,
Right.
right? But like you as well, like I think you have been through lots of places as well. As you maybe like you want to find inspiration for your own like food and everything. Like, do you go and taste and do you like write notes like, okay, that sounds good.
Yeah,
that tastes
definitely.
good.
I mean, like wherever I go, I always try to, remember what that taste is like. I mean, it's of course it's difficult, but I always make mental notes because like, oh, this thing was like this was like that. So, from every like place that I've worked with or every place that I've visited, traveled, vacationed, wherever, there's always like certain core memories, that I will always try to keep intact. So that way, like even if I'm not, trying to do the exact same thing, I can replicate it and maybe like put my own spin on it.
Okay.
And like I'm confident enough to say like, because like I said, I'm a glutton for food. So like I've tasted a lot of good food.
A lot of bad food, I would say.
Definitely. Yeah. So, like I'm confident enough to say like, if something tastes good for me, like I'm happy that it's going to taste good for you as well. Like I'm at least that confident with my palate.
Okay.
Yeah. So like there are certain things that I like to experiment on, like for example, the birria tacos. Yeah. I've had the tacos over at Mexico as well.
Okay.
Like I can't really make it the same way as them, but this is just my interpretation of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's really cool, man. It's really one of those things where I think because sometimes it becomes so monotonous, right? The way you cook and also be like, oh, something needs to be done or some kind of like exotic thing needs to be talked about, right?
Yeah.
And you go out, just in Shillong as well, if you just go out, like if you go and eat street food, it's totally different, right? It's like, okay, this person makes it a different way, something that way. Yeah. That's quite cool, man. Seriously.
Yeah.
Okay, according to you, like which place have you ever gone to and you felt like that was like the bomb when it comes to food and like you got inspiration so much influenced by by the food that they had or the food that they had?
Yeah. There's so many to count. There are too many to count.
The best of the best, shall we say? Like
Okay. So let's see. Calcutta street food is definitely something that I really want to try.
True.
But it is something that I need to learn for myself as well. And there's this restaurant in Mumbai called Imbis.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's a German restaurant, but dude, the meats out there, I mean, awesome. Like I cannot like describe how like I literally like had a food orgasm, like right there sitting eating it.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was that good.
Yes. And it is something that I want to replicate it, but I know that doing that is out of my skill set.
True.
Yeah. It's something that I need to learn. But basically, I think, the places that stand out for me are like it's always going to be like the streets of Calcutta.
Wow.
I grew up visiting Calcutta a lot. I studied there 3 years. And, even before then, like me and my mom, we'd always go vacationing to Cal there. So, it's always been like my second home.
Okay.
So when I was studying there in college, I stayed in Park Circus.
Okay.
And where I had my apartment, right behind it, there's like this, this Muslim slum area,
Okay.
Dude, the food is like mind blowing, man. And there were days where like you get home right after classes and all, and then you just be like, like you're hungry, you want to grab a snack. And back then you'd get beef like paratha with the beef roll, like a beef roll for like 7-8 rupees. That was so cheap, dude.
Calcutta is one of those places where you can survive out of 100 rupees.
Exactly, definitely.
Man.
And then and like I want to recreate those flavors. It's something that I really want to do. But I can't do that unless I try to experiment or have someone teach me. And even like if I try to do it on my own, like experimenting, I know it's not gonna have like that same result.
That's very cool, man. You have to meet. I think you really need to go and meet them in person.
Definitely.
And try to take notes about, say,
And even with the food that I am putting up over at my cafe, it's very inspired, very influenced by, like street food. Like I want to put on my own ideas, my own take on it.
True. So that's quite cool, man. Because you really like try to incorporate many things into your food as well, right?
Yeah.
Man, okay. So the inspiration comes from street food. I really like, because some things in life, right? It's like, yes, this fancy,
Fancy
smancy. Man, I can't come on, fancy. Shit, okay. Forget about it. The very, like, bougie kind of place, right? I think sometimes it has own flavor or own taste to it, but I think the street food has a different.
Street food beats everything hands down, dude.
Yeah.
Like, you can visit like a restaurant, like high 5-star quality, but it's not something that you see yourself doing or eating like every day, every meal of the day or every day, But like with street food, like there's so many things you can eat like every day, dude. You can survive on street food.
That's true. That's true. I've seen people surviving as well. So I've seen like people, especially in their college days, they're always surviving street food more or less. Right?
More or less.
And Calcutta, come on, it's a place where you can get street food so cheap, right?
Definitely.
Man. So can I ask you one thing?
Yeah.
Like the thing is just like I always see like, you being like a person who have had lots of experience when it comes to cooking and everything.
Right.
Will you ever like, one day probably in the near future, like release your own cookbook or that's all?
I never thought.
Really?
Yeah. No.
Damn.
Like, cause, like, I mean, I want to teach, people like, if they want, I can just like show them like basic stuff and all. I have an intern with me. She wanted to learn how to cook. So like, just getting her through the basics. But when it comes to like, like putting out like cookbooks or making like a franchise or whatever, that's not for me.
Not for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just doing it solely because like I've always wanted to do it. I'm running my own restaurant because I've always wanted to do it. So like, that's it.
Okay.
When I'm done with that, then I'm done with that and I'll figure out what I want to do.
Yeah.
But for now, like this is like my one track mind on it. Like I'm happy with where I am, what I have right now. True. This is all good.
Yeah, that's quite cool. And if I ask any person for that matter who's into cooking or doesn't be like, one day I wish I could like release a world like renowned book that people can refer to.
Yeah,
that sort. But yeah, that's quite a good perspective because it's not just humbling, but I hope that like people who eat your food will always remember you for who you are.
It's more or less like just not just go with the flow, but just like living in the moment. Enjoy what you have while you still have it.
True.
Because if you stress too much about like what you want to do, or like I want to have this, I want to have that, you're never gonna be happy with what you have already.
Man, that's really like I think a mantra that most people should live by. Seriously, one day at a time, man. I mean, you live today. This is the only today you have 24 hours, right? Yeah. Tomorrow has its own problems. The past. What can you do, right?
Yeah,
that's quite a good thing. But yeah, coming back to like because the thing about cooking is you need to have like for guns you need ammunition, right? But for cooking you need vegetables and various other ingredients.
Yeah.
So coming back to that point, because we always have this impression where, like we always see in films, like they wake up early in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning to get like the best fish or the best vegetables well sorted out, shall we say, right? Do you go through all that as well?
I mean, not really. I mean, like I think a lot of that stuff is glorified. Yeah. I mean, maybe if you're in like a very well developed place, you're running your own Michelin restaurant or whatever, you can do all that. But like that stuff doesn't apply to Shillong. Shillong has its own like time, has its own slow pace. Yeah. And it's fun actually because like I enjoy, that kind of pace. Like, it's kind of a little comforting. At least, you don't have to like rush like, oh shit, Kani, this hasn't come in yet. I haven't received this. Kani kam part 1, whatever, So it's nothing like, I have to wake up at 4 a.m. I have to pick potato from the garden, whatever.
It's like the best potatoes. Is this best? Right?
Yeah. So again, even when it comes to like, especially like produce out here in Shillong, I think it more or less comes down to, how well you know your stuff and how well you know your people. Because in the end, you can know like A to Z about like your vegetables and your meats and all. Like, and I'm just saying this in like in Shillong context, you can know A to Z about like meats, vegetables and all. But unless like a proper, like a good supplier or a person like who deals with these exactly, those people can really help you out with the good stuff
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Because we always have this kind of like interpretation, right? Oh, it's like, they wake up 4 o'clock and they like see, they get the best like tomatoes and all that, and B-roll will always be there. So, hey,
Had that been the kind of lifestyle, that like Shillong had, I would have lost like 10, 15 kgs by the time I'm up, from the time I started my cafe to the time I'm here.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's going to be really like taxing as well, like 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, I think it's just well glorified, I would say.
It is glorified a bit. Yeah.
That's true. Man, but seriously, it's like one thing about, I always want to ask is that at the end of the day, you have worked in the best like hotel and you have worked with the best chefs.
Yeah.
But why the sudden shift to Shillong though? I mean, you can always work there and, be a more predominant chef there.
Yeah, but again, like I said, I never wanted like to be that big. It's not for me. The whole reason why I wanted to cook was merely because I wanted to cook. I did not like have that aspiration where like, oh, I want to have like 5-10 stars, Michelin stars. I want to be famous, be on TV, blah, blah, blah. I never wanted any of that. Like, I'm grateful for like, like for being here and for like people who know me and like the recognition that I get. But, like I said, it's just something that I wanted to do, but from there it veered off to me being here. This is like an indirect thing that happened because of what I wanted to do. So, like I left, that outside life mainly because like there was that one point of time where like I just like really needed that break.
True.
Yeah, because like I said, physically and mentally it is so exhausting. So before I came back to Shillong, I was with Carnival Cruise Lines.
Okay.
And, it was like so much fun. I got to travel a lot. I saw a lot, met a lot of people. But, in the end, like, like people who still do that for like 5-10 years, I know people who they've made it a career out of doing that. And like kudos to them, like they can follow up with that lifestyle. For me, that just wasn't for me.
Yeah.
And like, if I give you more context on that, it's like, like I was working on like the smallest ship that they have.
Okay.
And the smallest ship sits up to maybe like 4,000 people. Yeah.
The smallest ship.
Yeah. 4,000 people.
Okay,
and that does not include the staff.
Okay.
Yeah. That is just the customers, just the passengers, the customers, the guests.
Damn,
so
man.
Yeah. And a normal shift for me, like I got put on the breakfast shift. So a normal shift for me is like 4 a.m. 4 a.m. till 10, 11 a.m.
Okay.
Go for a break, come back again at 4 p.m. till 11, 12 p.m.
Damn,
And that is every day. That is an everyday cycle. There are no days off. A day off would be like you come to work at 3 p.m. That is a day off.
Like you get a little bit of time to sleep.
Exactly. Yeah, that is a day off.
Okay.
So almost a year. So that was like a very fun experience. I got to travel a lot, see a lot, met a lot of people, like I'm still friends with a lot of people like on that cruise. But like by the end of it, I was like so exhausted. Like I did not, I just wanted to just leave. Just leave.
Damn, I think it's just not meant for you, I guess. There's just some things that, like, even though you like cooking, but it's just not meant for you in that situation or that particular place, right? I think.
Like I did it. I think I never expected myself to be in that cruise line as well. Like I think it was just by fluke because I don't even remember like how I applied for it, but somehow like I just got the call.
Okay.
Like we got your application and all. Like, can you come in, interview, blah blah. Got through it, then started that. But like I don't remember how I applied for it because again, like I never saw myself being there, and it wasn't something that like I saw myself doing for like an extended period of time. I liked cooking. I do not like working like a slave, like I wouldn't say slave. That would be like very wrong.
Yeah, exactly. But I think mostly you don't like the glorified version of being a cook.
Yeah.
That's great.
Exactly.
Cool. So you focus more or less on the connection and the taste.
Yeah.
Which is
the memories.
The memories.
Memories, definitely.
I think most chefs and even chefs that are going, who wants to be chefs as well, I think they always had that connection, that always that feeling of, one day famous like Gordon Ramsay or whatever it may be. But I think what matters the most is the memories that you make and the taste that you connect with people,
Yeah.
especially. Coming to taste though, good segue, I would say. How has it been when like the how is the reception of the like the population in Shillong towards your food? Like,
Well, so far it's been great. I mean, because I'm trying to bring in something new.
okay.
Because I don't know if you've noticed this, but not just like our generation, but like future like generations after us and before us, they are so inclined to this whole like Chinese food, Chinese food culture. Put some pork chow, chef. Yeah, so it's that has become like a staple out here. So there's no real exposure to like stuff from outside, like out of that genre. And even if you were to bring stuff, that'd be just like, oh, don't tell me, that's it. Or maybe like, they'll try it like once or twice, but they're veered off. It's not something that they'll come back to. But in the end, like people, they go back to chow, momo, fried rice. I'm not dissing that because I love chow, momo, fried rice.
You're born with that anyway.
Exactly. So like, I'm, it's not just me, but like Uttam, thank you, the owner of Olivia's Kitchen.
Yeah.
He's put up like some amazing stuff, like over at his place. And it's something new for like the palate for not just us, but future generations to know that, there's life outside of just like this culture that we've been brought up on.
True.
Yeah. And, it's like people who, and like I can't help but encourage a lot of like chefs, coming in from outside, like born and brought up in Shillong, we've worked out, but then coming back, they start doing their own thing. I really want to encourage them, like to take risk, It's not going to be easy because it's like very rough, very scary road.
True.
Even for me, like when I started my own thing, there were days where it was so slow, like, like you get very disheartened. But, eventually you keep at it and, you just put out the best that you can.
Okay.
Eventually, like people are going to, find that recognition. They're going to know you as you're the guy who does this. So it's going to be like your name. This is something that you started and more people are coming on to like the new different culture bandwagon.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I really do encourage because like you said, I really like the part where you said that we always use that, like the staple food, shall we say.
Yeah.
But like I really do encourage people who are watching this as well, try something new at least, right?
Yeah.
Try something like at least will. I'm a very I'm a person who's contradicting myself actually. I'm also like labiang fried rice, like mixed rice is my favorite. But yeah, I mean, as I try to like meet lots of guests like you and various other chefs as well, it's like Beverly and various others, they're always trying to open up my mind to various
different
other
stuff.
food. Yeah,
different things.
But when you taste it, it's like, whoa, it's different, but it's nice too. It's like there's so much to explore.
So much to explore. Yeah. And like if you're like a hardcore foodie, my in-laws are like hardcore foodies, like entire family. So like somehow like inspired by them as well, because I know they make like really good stuff. So, and whenever we have gatherings over at their place, food is going to be lit.
If the people are like foodies, the food will definitely be lit. I can guarantee that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I totally agree. And now like, we have reached to a point in that point of time when it comes to food where it's like going to a point where like healthy food now is coming into the scene. What's your perspective on healthy food though? Can it taste good?
It definitely can taste good. I mean, like there was a point of time where like I was into the whole, trying to like build my base on giving healthy food to people. But that was like a shitload of work for food that did not taste half as good.
Yeah. But will it taste good though? Like it's always been broccoli, like breast chicken and rice.
It actually can, it actually can. It's very subjective.
Very subjective.
Yeah, but it's all on imagination. Because there's things where it might be you might think like it's just lettuce, sla, like tapjur, put veggies and all, whatever. but if you know like proper way of like mixing and stuff, like proper, if you have like that eccentric mind, like stuff like that can like be mind blowing as well.
True. I mean, you can always make things. I mean, now with lots of ingredients and that are coming to Shillong as well. Like, okay, what's your take on like the food culture in Shillong? Because it's one of those things where I think people are now like having vlogs now and they're like having different perspective. Even now, the ingredients that we don't have before, now everything
now they're coming in,
right?
Yeah.
So, what's your take on all this? Like this huge submersion, or shall we say this huge? How shall we say, man? It's like the huge coming of these ingredients and the food culture, and it's growing as well.
Right.
Lots of foodies, lots of vloggers. What do you think on it?
It's got a lot of scope. It's got a lot of scope. I mean, like I said, like this whole Chinese food culture, it's like ingrained. It's basically like in our DNA. Soy sauce is in our DNA.
Yeah. So that's always been.
Yeah, but like I think the best thing that all these like vloggers and all can do, like they open up our eyes to stuff that we can have outside of just that whole thing, And when it comes to ingredients, like there's things where the people are just starting to get to know out here.
True.
Yeah. And unless people take that initiative, that risk to, to like work with it, like, and once it comes out like how they want it, like it's going to turn out good and all, so they are like, gonna get their minds blown. Like I hope, like if someone works on like those exotic ingredients, they have like, I just hope they have that same sort of like mind-blowing moment the way that I did, that moment that put me in here, and like as a chef, it's just my hope that somehow, someplace, someone will have maybe like a similar experience, to have that kind of like insight that they want to do work with these exotic things and put it on the spotlight out here.
Wow. That's one thing that I think they need. That's like we're coming back to being adventurous when it comes to food, right?
Yeah.
I think they should definitely, especially all the people in Shillong, they should try to like broaden their horizon.
Take risks.
Take risks.
Yeah.
I think
just try.
You might regret it, but you might not regret as well, right? What is the worst food you have ever tasted though? Like I always had this imagination when the chefs they'll be so critical of everything. Oh, so there's pepper, there's salt, or whatever it may be, right? But what is like, okay, you have these the best foods. What is the worst food? Like you're like, oh, you're gonna puke, man. It's like, dude.
Again, that is so many, dude. I've had like goat testicles, raw goat testicles. I've had I don't know if I should say this post-COVID shit, but like I've had bat also. Yeah. And
Ozzy Osbourne second verse.
So yeah. And I think like goat testicles was still good. Like, I think the worst thing I ever had was raw beef. Like
raw beef.
Yeah, there's a French dish called steak tartare.
Okay.
So it's basically like, the best quality beef you can get. It's just chopped up and it's just mixed with an egg yolk, salt, pepper, and that is it.
Don't get me wrong. Isn't there was this Mr. Bean episode where they brought that only like that beef patty and that's it? Was it that's the dish? Or?
I don't know about that, but I think it might be that. It's basically just like served like in the shape of a patty. Yeah, and and just like it's just like meat mixed with egg, and then you get some like crackers and some bread with it, and you have it like that.
It is. I think it is. It is. Because the thing he was like eating and suddenly like he didn't like it, so he's just like hiding in spots and everything.
Yeah, and like the whole reason I wanted to try that was because you see a lot of like these like fancy hi-fi French restaurants, even like Gordon Ramsay, he's made steak tartare, like you always wonder like what that would be like, and honestly like I had that and it was no words.
Some things that I think they're just like you said, like they're just over like like exaggerated,
overhyped.
Hyped. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think the myth was debunked.
Yeah, finally. Maybe it wasn't like given the way it was supposed to. But like for me, that is just not for me.
some things are not for everyone.
Exactly.
Believe me, man. That's why the way food is so beautiful, because it's so many tastes about, there's so many like subjectivity when it comes to food, right?
Yeah.
That is very cool. But yeah, coming back to your venture and your restaurant, what is like 1304 though? Is a very odd number. It's like a, without due respect, a password towards like, you know, like your ATM pin, right? Okay, that's the whole thing. I hope it's not that. I hope
it's not.
Okay,
It's not. So a lot of people have asked me that.
Yeah.
It is actually like a tribute. It is the dates of my mom and grandmom's birthday.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. So, you know, like they've always been very supportive, you know, and, you know, this is kind of just like my way of like showing them that I appreciate all that they've done for me, you know. And even when I was setting up like my cafe now, 1304, it was with a lot of their help as well. Even before that, I used to run a cloud kitchen called Snack Rack. So, and even that, you know, if they weren't so supportive of like the things that I do, you know, like, you know, they give me a lot of leeway, like the space, the freedom to do what I wanted, you know. If it wasn't for them, you know, I wouldn't be where I am today.
True. Yeah. That's really cool. Quite sweet too, I would say. I'm a mama's boy myself too. So I know like how, like, you know, it's really one of those things where if they're not there, despite they have lots of flaws too, but you know, it's like
no one's perfect.
No one's perfect, is it, at the end of the day? Oh, but you have even it sounds like as though like you're having a band. You have a side project as well. I think you written in your bio. I think it's called the Cocoon or something. What is that? The
Ccocoon Supperclub.
Yeah.
So you know, I think this comes back to your question earlier about the whole fine dining, you know, set course thing.
Okay.
So the Ccocoon Supperclub is more like our take on, you know, doing the whole fine dining thing. Okay. Of course, we had like a couple of openings. We haven't done one this year. We, you know, in the past we've done like set course menus, like a 3-course, 4-course, 5-course, something like that. But it is our way of, you know, bringing in like fine dining culture. And I think the twist that we wanted to put to it was, it was like a traveling pop-up. Like we open like one place, like we open like in a different place every time we open. So this week I'm in Lashumir, the next week I'm going to be in Malki, in Laimukra, in Jaya, wherever. So that was our whole stick. So initially when we first started, we started over at my friend's place, Duffy in Nongrim Hills. And the whole, like how we got the name Cocoon also was very shady.
I hope it's, you know, can be told.
It's legal.
It's legal. Okay, thank God. Only close down next day. Like, okay, now.
Without diverging all the details. The Cocoon was basically just a place where, you know, like us friends just chilled and we drank, like just chill, like, you know, just like a small room. And I don't know how, like one of our friends just said, like, it's like a big cocoon, you know. Yeah. And then that name just stuck, like, welcome to the Cocoon.
It's very cool, right? Very cool, actually. I like that. That. So it's kind of like it has interest. So you do, it's like catering kind of thing.
No, it's not a catering thing.
So, but that's not your objective.
Yeah, it's not a catering thing. It's more like, you know, a pop-up restaurant, like the event that I did over at Olivia's. Yeah. So, you know, we just like randomly like come alive again on social media, put up like our menu, like start putting out invites, you know, and then like people come in and taste like fine dining food. Yeah. So there's stuff that we've done and that I'm happy to say that we've done that no one else in Shillong has done. True. So 2019, I made a whole like Thanksgiving thing, like complete with like turkey and gravy and like, you know,
like the gravy boat also.
Exactly. Yeah, the whole like Thanksgiving American style meal. Yeah. And last year we did like on Valentine's Day, we did a whole like romantic thing with seafood risottos and blah blah and a lot of like fancy schmancy stuff. So that's like the floof portion version of our work. Yeah. Ccocoon Supperclub.
It's quite nice, man. Quite nice. I mean, it's a kind of good initiative where people can, like I said, being adventurous to food again, right?
Yeah,
so
definitely.
That's a really, really cool thing. And I think I just had a discussion when we were walking through the stairs. You have even presented yourself even in a Northeast food court, right? Am I food court or I made a mistake? I think so.
Northeast Food Show.
Food show.
Yeah, that
Shit,
was
man.
that was I think in May. I think.
Me.
Yeah.
How was like it's one of the biggest like food show like I've ever like seen in Shillong.
Yeah.
Other than I think previously there was one, but it was like a total fiasco. We were not even able to eat anything that day. I remember. So anyway, how was the experience there though?
It was a very fun, humbling experience because I never expected myself to be on that platform. So what happened was I got a call from a company called Dakti Crafts.
Okay.
Right. So they were looking for chefs to kind of experiment with like certain ingredients. And for me, this year was turmeric.
Okay.
Yeah. And like initially I was very hesitant because I don't like, I've never worked with turmeric, like, as like a main ingredient apart from like curries and whatever, but, they give me an opportunity for which I'm very grateful for. They give me an opportunity to like, just go all out and just like think of the craziest shit that I could do with turmeric.
With turmeric.
Yeah. It's like raw, powdered, fermented, dried, wherever. So Northeast Food Show, like, they gave me that platform to work on it. And I came up with a couple of things like a turmeric pickle.
Okay.
And me and my cousin, he gave me the idea for turmeric ice cream.
How is it? That's like so weird though. I think
it was weird for me too. Like here, like picturing it, putting it on a menu. I tried it and it was like, holy shit, this is good.
How was the reception? How are the people like reacting?
We sold out. Like it was 3 days of like the food show and we sold out every day.
Wow.
The turmeric ice cream.
Man, that's
yeah.
That's there you go. I think the testimony is there that people are adventurous.
Definitely, yeah. So a couple of things that I did with that was like I made like a normal curry with that, the turmeric pickle, turmeric milk, and a turmeric tea as well. So like the response was just awesome. Yeah, it was a very fun experience for me. Yeah.
How has like what's like because you meet people on a regular basis, like come on, like you have your restaurant and do these shows that you're going to do, especially in the near future and even in the past as well, right?
Yeah.
How has it been like people complimenting you and showing so much of respect towards you, the craft that you have cultivated all these years, right? How has it been? I think it must have been a very humbling experience.
It's very humbling because I don't expect like every person to know me, and I actually don't want that to. Like I'm good at what I do, but I can always be better.
Yeah.
Right. So like when people they come up to me, like they know me and all, it's very satisfying. It's very rewarding for the work that I do, and it's I don't know how to say this, but it's it's something. It is humbling, but it's something that I want to work on myself, makes me want to work on myself even more. Right. So like if people know me that I'm good at this, like, of course, that's fine. The next person doesn't. So I want to, work on myself so that he will too.
True.
Right. So again, I don't want the fame, but somehow it's like, it's like that drive, I don't want him to know me as a famous person. I want him to know me because of the stuff that I do.
Yeah, true. Yeah. The things that you make, that connects with them so well, and can actually understand who you are through the food that you make, right? That's like great. I mean, that's how you actually. At the end of the day, I would say food has always been the universal language of all cultures, right? It's food only that connects people. It's food that people understand.
Yeah,
and food is how they convey themselves towards you as well.
Yeah,
it's quite a huge journey, shall we say, when it comes to spirituality and food as well. So, man, that's really cool. But yeah, coming back to like more or less funnier part of it, you're a sneakerhead as well, right? I know I'm totally transitioning from food to sneaker, but I don't know how the relation is.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
How you said you have 18? 18.
Oh yeah. I mean, like my wife hates me for the space that I take up.
Like you do the shoes. You like every time when you come out and you like.
I have like a dedicated toothbrush for like for the stuff, and then there are days where I'll be like too tired. I'll just be like in one corner, and and it'll just be sitting there until the next time I need it.
True that.
Yeah,
true that.
And like she wants to do in our room. My wife, like, she wants to do the cleaning and all, but she gets so pissed every time she looks at all the shoe boxes.
True, no? And do you have like a very like systematic way of keeping your box, or maybe you had that glass? I don't.
No, I don't. I wish I did. I wish I did. I don't, like, basically, like, every time I wear a fresh pair, come home, like, wipe, scrub it off, put it back in the box. So there's no specific order, then, and then, it's just like when I feel the need to, like, I have to take all of this out.
Really?
All of it. Like, does this look good with this? Does this look good with that?
True.
Yeah.
And it has to match that time.
Exactly. And it's even with my family, my in-laws and all, they know, like, I'm a sneakerhead. So, and I hate wearing formals. So if I have to wear formals, I have to find, like, at least like a good pair that matches with the formals.
Attire, yeah.
Like, even in my wedding, I did not want to wear formal shoes.
Oh, so what did you wear?
Like, I wore like church, like, formal shoes. Reception, I was rocking the classic Reebok whites.
Reebok whites.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
All
very
white.
cool. That's very cool.
Yeah.
Even Vans plays a very important role.
Yeah.
Well, what is your like favorite pair till date? I think the pair that I'm targeting to this year is the Nike up tempos, the more up tempos. I would say the Air up tempos.
Air up tempos.
Yeah, the black ones.
Right.
Always been one of my favorites. What is your favorite like all-time sneaker that you have right now with you?
So far, I've got two favorite pairs. One is the Nike Air Max Voitech.
You have that?
Yes.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah.
Google that, guys. It's one of the best shoes I've ever seen till date.
That and the Jordan Retro 13 Wheat.
Oh, you have the weed one?
Yeah.
Damn. I should come to your house one day and just take a photo. There'll be a huge like a pilgrimage to it.
So, like, I never expected myself to be like a sneakerhead as well. So I think the first ever like pair that I bought was the Adidas Superstar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, like,
Superstar has always been,
yeah, it was like a classic. It was a classic. And I think that obsession started from, I think, class 11, class 12. I don't know if you remember, Nelly put out this song called Air Force Ones and Stepped on My J's.
What was that?
It's
James. I don't know, man. Sorry.
So I was, I think those songs kind of put me like, oh, kidon kum kini hijat jutiru. It's like, oh shit, I have to buy. I looked at the price tag and I'm like,
it's so damn expensive, man.
Very expensive, dude. Yeah. And like, over the years, I always bug my mom, grandma. It's like, and every shoe that I've had, I think right from class 11 up until now, like, I still have them like in storage
till now.
Yeah. I do not throw out old shoes.
So dedicated, man. I mean, when it comes to sneakers, especially.
Yeah. They're like, like, although like I don't like maintain them as much, they're just like lying in one like cupboard, in one carton in the attic somewhere, Hakodam, whatever. So, but like they're there,
Okay,
so I like, if not, I can always like recycle them like for like running shoes, jogging shoes, playing basketball shoes, whatever.
True.
Yeah. So like those two are my favorite pairs. And I think another of my favorite pair is like the oldest pair that I have. It's going on, I think, 12 years this year.
Wow.
Timberlands.
The Timber was always all-time
everlasting.
Classic. More. I think Timberlands, the first time I saw was that film called, I don't know, there was that break dancing where they were crumping with
Storm the Yard.
Storm the Yard, yes. Most people got inspired by that. I think that movie really brought in that huge, that thing.
Yeah.
Man, but nowadays sneakerheads are like, what are you wearing right now? Like,
these are just my work shoes.
Work shoes.
Work shoes. Yeah,
Okay.
so basically like, I do not want to like wear fancy shoes when I'm at work. So these are basically just like Myntra shoes that I got on sale for like $500.
That too. I like high tops. We're more of a high top guy or, like low cut?
I'm mixed.
Okay.
But like the high top look suits me.
Yeah, I think the high top will suit you. I'm more of a high top guy myself too.
I can see from the Travis Scotts.
I was really like into it. Like I don't like Travis Scott. He's a horrible rapper in my opinion, but his shoes are really good. I really like his design and his military outlook towards it. No,
Right. Had I known you were a sneaker, no, I would have like changed shoes like before coming in.
Now I'm gonna show you my shoes, man.
I was, before like I was like very hesitant, like because like we had I had a set time to be here, but like I didn't want to be late. So, like, should I not change? Like, whatever. Like, work shoes just came in directly.
I mean, that's what
otherwise, I had like the perfect pair that I wanted to wear, but then like, I don't want to be late.
Yeah, that's true.
The Jordan 23.
Jordan 23.
The Ultrafly.
I thought it was the LeBron's I want.
No, it's, you can Google it. It's like so badass.
I'll check it out. What again? Jordan
23 Ultrafly.
Ultrafly.
Yeah.
I'll check that out, man. I think I should definitely buy one. I let's see. This year, that's my target right now.
Yeah.
And probably I'll still keep on collecting.
Yeah.
But I'm always the colorways that I always go for is more or less like like very like not pastel colors. I don't like pastel, but more like black, gray, green, all these. But more or less those types are always white, obviously.
Right.
But let's see. Maybe I might just buy something crazy one day. Or something will be like, oh, like damn.
Yeah, for me, when I pick sneakers, I don't necessarily pick like certain specific colors.
Kind of thing.
I'm more like, if I feel like it, I'll get it. But, like based on, according to my wife, my personality, I pick something that's loud.
That's it, like in your face kind of thing?
Yeah.
Okay, that's quite cool. At least you make a statement too, fashion.
Yeah, definitely.
That's quite cool, man. And at least like if you're like, you're doing your like cooking anything and you see like, are you that person when something falls, someone like stamps in your shoe, like that your favorite shoe? Like,
I get pissed. I get pissed.
Do you cry?
Yes. No, I don't cry. I get back.
Yeah, you get back. I remember this one long time ago in KFC. I was waiting there. Okay.
Yeah.
So sorry, it's KFC. Don't mind about that. You gotta get pieces of KFC.
That's okay. I enjoy KFC as well.
There you go. Girl, Shavi. Oh, you go on KFC. Anyway, I was standing there and this small kid just went and suddenly like stamped on these shoes itself.
Yeah.
Man, I was like, I was not trying to like, trying to not flinch, but I was like, like shaking, got really pissed off with this small kid.
Right.
He's like, just came and he just ran through. I was like, but I didn't kick the kid, so that's a good thing. Or we thrown out, man. Anyway.
You're very diplomatic, I guess, in that sense.
Yeah.
I remember, like it was the first ever Air Force Ones that I bought, and that too with my own money.
Okay.
And like they were like fresh, clean, went out, and some dude in the bus, like just like I was like standing next to a bus station. Some guy was like running through, like running right in front of me, like formals and stuff. Like he stepped on my shoes, like with the formal shoes, and he just kept on running.
Oh my goodness!
God, I was so pissed. I like. And I can tell he was in a hurry, but then I don't know why I got so violent. I threw a banana at him. The guy must be like, what did I deserve this? Like, And then, he got into the bus and then he was looking at me. He's like, what happened?
See, you show the shoe.
Yeah, dekho.
Damn, man. That's a good experience. That's good. Yeah. But anyway, okay. Last one, not the least. Like one more, like at least just to seal the deal to this conversation. This beautiful conversation we're having. So, what is like is there a perfect food out there that maybe one day will be revealed one day? What do you think? Is there such thing as perfect food?
Again, that is very subjective. Like your definition of perfect is totally different from mine. For me, there is no such thing as perfect food. There's just food that you are gonna love and crave and just like enjoy, no matter how sick or of that food or you are. It's always gonna be like you run to that.
True.
Yeah. So I guess for me, like when it comes to me, my perfect food would probably be like the chicken chow.
Yeah, that's true. It's always something very subjective.
Yeah, it's subjective, So like, it again, this whole chow momo culture is all good, bringing something new. But then in the end, you're like, we're all born and brought up with like the kind of lifestyle that we have here,
true.
And like it's, it's a good thing and also like a bad thing also at the same time. If you're born and brought up and if you grew up in Shillong with the kind of Chinese food you have in Shillong, Chinese food is not gonna taste good to you like if you go anywhere else.
True.
Nothing beats Shillong Chinese.
True.
Nothing.
It's even the foreigners who come here, they eat, it's like totally different. It's like kind of like a different kind of Chinese, you know?
Yeah.
It's their own twist kind of thing.
Right. So yeah, and even with the Chinese out here, it's not exactly like the proper, like pure authentic Chinese. It's a lot of like Indo Chinese, you know? So it is just something that you're born and brought up with. Again, if you grew up with this kind of food, nothing else is gonna taste as good.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think that should be maybe just your perception of how perfect it is to you.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I think we have our own subjective thing and the subjective opinion on perfect food. But yeah, thank you for being in the conversation though in the podcast, because you have really opened up my eyes to different things, and especially to the the viewers and the listeners as well.
Yeah.
And the thing is why we want you in the podcast, because you want to show a different kind of side when it comes to food,
Right.
And it's one thing that we have always been inspired by, and that's why we keep on bringing like different upcoming chefs and who are really into the craft.
Right.
That's one thing. So last but not the least, we have a camera over here that you can look to. Why don't you give because there's lots of, you can give your shout outs, or you can give an answer, whatever you want to say for the last, for whatever you want to say. I'm getting like, it's getting quite late actually. So I think we both are very tired after a long day. But to be frank with you guys, why don't you say something, especially for the upcoming chefs, or you want to give shout out to anyone? This is your moment.
Well, a lot of shout out to a lot of people actually. There's no one in specific that I have in mind, but a word of advice to a lot of upcoming chefs: always be humble and never think you're the best. Because if you're the best, then you're gonna go down hard and fast. There's always something that everyone else can teach you. Even like someone who doesn't know how to cook, he can teach you like different things that you don't know. So it is just an eye-opening thing to know that the learning never stops. Always be humble and always be open to criticism and change. Yeah.
Good way to end. Holy crap. Close, man. Anyway. But thank you, man. Seriously, that I hope that the people can learn a lot from this, and at least can take the first step towards cooking, which is something
Definitely.
that's always been in our culture.
Definitely.
So anyway, thank you very much, you guys, for watching. Thank you for actually listening to, because sometimes I've heard like lots of my supporters as well, the people like you who come to our videos, they will listen for 2 hours, 3 hours, and I really appreciate all of them who really watches and really takes time to listen to our boring conversation, right? So anyway, thank you so much, guys. Thank you Benny for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's a real privilege, man. And thank you you had a long day. I can see that. Guys, I know I met you, but at least the conversation, hopefully it had lightened up your burden
it definitely
a bit
did.
in some way.
It did. It was a long time coming, but it was good.
I've always had this conversation. We always bring you in.
Yeah.
Finally, you're here, and I hope people can learn from you a lot. And that's one thing that why this podcast is here, is just for people to be inspired as well as to learn. At the same time.
Definitely. Yeah.
So hey guys, thank you very much. If you want to know more about my guest over here, will be up here. I don't know. It'll be the description down below. His his restaurants, and you can visit him. I think, can you just where is it exactly?
Yeah. So my place 1304. It's located in Limekra. It is in Lady Veronica Lane, just before Bansara Eye Care.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And the people can DM you if they want to cater.
Of course, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
So I'm going to keep all the description down below. His social, his personal social, as well as his different restaurants that he has.
Just
one restaurant. I think there you always have the updates towards your where you're going to be guests,
of course,
guest chefs and all that stuff. Okay, you can
definitely
keep updated with him through his social media. So yes, guys, before we leave, I want to say thank you very much for watching. Thank you for listening as well. If you're listening to us to Spotify and various other platforms. And yes, last but not the least is that thank you for always being supportive, despite the fact that we've been quite in a loop for a while, because for 2 weeks when we didn't release any conversations or any podcast sessions. So definitely, guys, thank you very much. And yes, the show always ends there. Always find someone to have a conversation with. Grab your favorite beverage, and until next time, from me, Chef Benny and James. See you soon.
See ya.
And stay lo-fi.
Thank you for having me. That was fun.
Yeah, that was fun.
That was good.
After a long day, that's quite good.
It was.
That was a lot.